You've been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet ache, the heaviness, the knowing that something needs to shift, but you're not sure how? You don't need to figure it all out. You just need a space to release, realign, and remember who you are. I'm Jennifer Pilates, and I invite you to join me for Reiki Moon Magic Distant Healing, a sacred healing experience that goes far beyond Reiki. This is a transformational energy work that cleanses the emotional clutter, clears energetic blocks, and realigns your entire being, body, mind, and spirit. Held under the sacred light of the moon, you'll enter a deeply nourishing frequency where healing happens on every level. If you've been carrying too much, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Your healing, your release, your return to light. Reserve your space for the next Reiki Moon Magic Distant Healing at jenniferpilates.com. Come as you are, leave, transformed and empowered, body, mind, and spirit. Welcome to Empowered Within, a soul-quenching, transformational podcast that will set your soul on fire through candid and inspiring conversations. Leading experts, celebrities, healers, and I share our journeys of how we've overcome challenges to living an empowered life from within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates. Welcome to another episode of Empowered Within. Hi there, and welcome to another amazing episode of Empowered Within. I'm your host, Jennifer Pilates, and today I am honored to have with us the one and only Kerie Logan. Carrie has helped people all over the globe live better lives and lives they love. She has been a therapist and empowerment strategist for over 20 years. In 2004, she was awarded the Best Coach of the Year at the PCH Yearly Convention. She has been voted the best hypnotherapist in her area of Oregon for the past 14 consecutive years. She is also an author, spiritual advisor, blogger, and podcaster. Carrie's journey began at a young age with a simple desire for humanity to better understand one another. She believes life is our teacher, yet our life experiences do not have to define us. Welcome to the show, Carrie.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm so excited to be connecting with you today.
Me too. I'm so thrilled. So take me back to the young age when you realized this desire that you had for humanity.
I would have to say I grew up in a lot of people in a 3D environment home. It was not healthy. It was very toxic. There was narcissism. My mom was a neglectful parent. And I couldn't understand why people would be so mean and cruel to each other, especially a person that calls himself a Christian and reads the Bible twice a day, attends all church functions, but is abusive to his wife and children. I just couldn't get it. And at that young age, I didn't realize my abilities. And when I look back at it now, I do, because I literally was my dad's therapist when he was going through divorce. And he would sit down with me and just tell me all these things. And the wisdom that flowed out of me, I think, was so profound. Things I shouldn't know, things I shouldn't be saying. And that developed more when I went to school, and especially when I went to high school, because I grew up in a very prestigious, preppy, superficial materialism environment, Marin County. And I just wasn't willing to conform. I wasn't willing to change who I was to appease someone, to make them like me or want to like me. And even in the corporate world, one of my coworkers once said, "I don't get you, Carrie. You're not a therapist or human resources or a counselor or any of that. But when anyone has problems in this office, whether it's personal or professional, they come to you. And the stuff that comes out of your mouth," she's like, "I'm in the next cubicle. I don't know how you do it. How do you do this?" And I realized it was my sincere desire to be of service, to really, really be of service for humanity. And when I became a hypnotherapist, all of that, and when I look at my life, everything just like boom, boom, boom lines up. And just like you with the name Empowered Within podcast, that came from above. And the website that I created, Empowered Within, came from above. And to me, that's a beautiful gift because if I was stuck in 3D human consciousness, I'd be angry at you. I'd be jealous. I'd be like, you stole my name. How dare you? How dare you? But all I have is love and joy and gratitude for you because I know that calling came from above. And if I was supposed to do that podcast, I would have been guided to do it, but I wasn't. You were, and you're doing fantastic things with it. So all I can say is praise and kudos to you.
What I find fascinating is that there are over 50 different podcasts that are called Empowered Within, whether it's with Jennifer Pilates, Betty Lou, Empowered Within Women. What is it about my podcast that triggered you to the point that you are feeling the way that you're feeling about mine versus all of the others?
Because one, I didn't know there were others, and that's to be truthful. And for yours, there was just something like, no, you need to connect to this woman and you need to chat with this woman. And I do believe in divine guidance because I use it with my work. So why wouldn't I use it for myself? It was really fascinating and interesting. The universe works in mysterious ways. So it was really fun and exciting to have this opportunity to be like, hey, this is a like-minded person. I'm excited to meet them.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. No, there are a ton of podcasts that are empowered within. That's why I was like,
Really?
oh my God, so many. I didn't know till after the fact. When I was guided to do a podcast, I didn't know anything about them. I had never even listened to them.
Yeah.
I just knew, and I know that we talked about this yesterday on your podcast, which was so much fun, and everyone's going to hop over there and listen to our interview there too, is that I had no idea. And so it wasn't until later when someone told me like, hey, did you know like where you are in the charts? I didn't even know about the chart. I knew nothing. I was just showing up to be of service. I was showing up to do what I was guided to do. And that's when I realized I'm like, oh my God, there are so many Empowered Within podcasts. It's absurd. So how fascinating. And that, because I was thinking about that last night after we got off our podcast, because we had this great conversation. And I thought, I wonder what it was about mine that was triggering for her when there's all these other ones. What was it? You know, what's so beautiful is us being aware of one another. And here it is almost 4 years later that we were divinely guided together to have such beautiful conversations, to share our beautiful energies, and to help lift up the vibration, because that's what is so much part of the passion of both you and I. I think that's just such a cool thing how the universe works like that.
Well, and it's interesting how it works because when you look at the timeline, like 4 years ago, and I knew nothing about podcasting, zero. I was guided, from above to do the podcast, The Undetected Narcissist. And I was guided to do it from a perspective of love, compassion, forgiveness, and wisdom. Because a lot of people that were talking about narcissism and toxic people were coming from hate, anger, fear, hate, anger, fear. And you can't heal coming from that mindset. And so you were guided in one way to serve. I wasn't guided in another way to serve. And it's like and I put that one to rest. I did it for 3 years. And then I was guided to no, now you're going to teach human consciousness and you're going to start master the upper rooms. And so I was guided from above. This is what you're going to do. And to me, I think that's the beautiful thing about being of service is the way someone described me, as she says, you're like an ivy vine. You're going up, and then you're going to sprout this leaf, and it's just going to be beautiful. And when that leaf is completely developed and grown, you're going to start to sprout a new one, and you'll go in another direction, and you'll just keep growing and growing up. And I think it's really cool because things are starting to really come together. When I step back and I look at me and all the work that I've done, is I have no regrets. Seriously, the whole experience with the narcissism, yeah, it was my dark night of the soul, but that experience was my biggest life lesson and teacher. And then I can take that wisdom and that information and support other people that are stuck or struggling or in that victim mindset and they can't get, I call it, they can't get off the hamster wheel. Let's find the diamond in the rough. Let's find the lessons. Let's find the gifts that this person is trying to teach you, but you're stuck in this rigid way.
Right.
So,
So talk
yeah.
to me about your technique. Talk to me about the upper rooms because it's just so impactful what you're doing.
Um, what speaks to me a lot of times says, no, we want you to draw this. We want you to create this. We want you to make this. And so, just a couple of weeks ago, I was guided to make a list of the habits, emotions, behavior patterns, and mindsets of 3D human consciousness, which vibrates between 20 to 175. And all of this has been scientifically proven by Dr. Hawkins. He did the map of human consciousness. And what I was led to do is add more content because some people can't really recognize their emotions. So I'll give a quick example before I show you the image. I had a lady call me a couple of months ago that was struggling with severe anxiety. And every time I mentioned, you're struggling with anxiety, she yelled at me and said, I don't have anxiety. And I broke down the habits and behaviors. And in that section, here's the piece, and you can get these images free off my website, Master the Upper Rooms, is she was stuck in fear. She was restlessness. She couldn't sleep at night. She was withdrawn because she had fear of going out just in public. She had nervousness. She was guarded. She was hypervigilant. She was suspicious, a worrywart, wishy-washy, second guessing herself, her mind stewed, often inability to trust anyone. And I said, is that correct? And she's like, yes. And I said, well, that lines up with anxiety. Anxiety. And it was like, okay, she couldn't recognize where her set point was. And she was really stuck in that. And I needed to try to shift her. There's another one for 40 human consciousness. It ranges between 200 to 400. I needed to get her up to courage, the courage to be curious.
So how do you do that? How do you, when you see someone who's so struggling with even to accept where they're at, how do you help them make that shift in mindset and frequency to then get them where you need them to be? What if I told you healing could be activated with light? Not a pill, not a product, but a frequency, awakening your body's natural ability to regenerate, restore, and rise with vitality. Hi, I'm Jennifer Pilates, and I've seen firsthand how light therapy patches are helping people all over the world reduce pain, calm inflammation, increase collagen, improve energy, and so much more. These non-invasive patches use the power of phototherapy to signal your body back into balance. No chemicals, no side effects, just light. If you've been feeling depleted, foggy, inflamed, or if you simply want to feel more vibrant from the inside out, this might be what your body's been asking for. I've personally experienced the difference, having worn light therapy patches for the past 15 years. I've shared them with clients, my community, and my team. Curious? Head over to jenniferpilates.com to learn more or to reach out for a personalized consultation. Your body remembers how to heal. Light just helps it remember faster. Head over to jenniferpilates.com today to learn more.
I try to find the blessing and the gift that might be in it. I really do. Like, how can you view this from a higher perspective instead of feeling victimized? For example, she wasn't ready to make that shift. I am posting a new podcast this Friday about a gentleman that is a friend of mine who it was so stuck in guilt and remorse and judgment towards himself and that savior mindset because he got divorced and his wife wasn't willing to change. She got into drugs and all other horrible things. And he was sitting here telling me his whole story. And I looked at him and I said, "Do you realize she gave you a precious gift? Do you know what that was?" And he was like, "No, what?" And I said, "She brought you closer to God because you just sat here and told me that for the last few years, you have walked hand in hand with God. And yeah, God was like you ordering takeout. And now you pray every day and you have this beautiful relationship with God. She's your teacher of unconditional love because you still love her. You just told me that, but you're stuck in the mindset that I need to save her, and she doesn't want to be saved. She's a teacher, and you're the student."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Oh my God, you're correct." So I springboarded him out of 30 all the way up to 500, which is 5D human consciousness, unconditional love. And then I backslid where I was like, I gave him the reasoning and understanding. That's 400. I backslided more to where I wanted him to, at 350, to accept her. This is who she is. And I wanted him to be optimistic and satisfied, centered, balanced, grounded, which is 250. And then the courage also is this 200 to see that this is her life's journey and she is a profound teacher. Yeah.
That's just so amazing. And I love how you explained how you quantum leaped him and
Yes.
then sort of guided him back.
Yes.
So for those people that are a little, maybe they don't understand the word consciousness or maybe 3D, 4D, 5D, how would you explain the difference so that the layman could understand the difference between 3D,
Yeah.
4D, and 5D?
So people that are stuck in 3D human consciousness, it's all about the self. It's all about survival. So if you think about the Wild West, it was all about survival. It was out for yourself. And not until a person got their own land and, let's say, started having a comfortable life, they were getting their needs met, they were able to be satisfied and content with life. And that's 4D human consciousness. Okay, at 250, they're not trying to steal someone else's cow or steal someone's crops. They're able to share the bounty. And that's a sense of community. 4D human consciousness is connection, it's oneness, it's being a part of a community and supporting one another instead of, I'm going to take whatever I can. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to hoard. I'm going to manipulate people. I'm going to, be a two-faced gossip. And we see that all the time. People that are working in the corporate world thinking that, well, I have to do this to make a paycheck and feed my family, but they're miserable. They hate their jobs. They're unhappy with their life. They struggle with depression or low self-esteem. And how can I put it? Sometimes some people need like a wake-up call, a come to Jesus moment where they need to hit rock bottom to realize, I'm not happy. And this is your life. It's nobody else's life. This is your life. And I like to say that all of us have met toxic people. And those toxic people are stuck in 3D human consciousness. They're struggling with life. And some people, yes, get sick satisfaction out of hurting another person. But when you raise your consciousness, and I call it maturity, when you can be kind and respectful, you can be grounded and balanced and centered, you can be upbeat and willingness to change, where you have passion and hope and you accept people, there's equality. And when you do something wrong, and this is true, when any of us do something wrong, what's the first thing we say? Please forgive me. Please forgive me. That's 4D human consciousness. And all of these, it's all of our thoughts and emotions which create our reality. It creates our world. So I'll give an example of something where I had a profound insight, and I'm really blessed about it, and so is my husband, where I had a moment where my mom came in and she was showing me her timeline and how her life was with marriage and how she had all these experiences of 40 years of pure sadness, like deep ocean waves and all that. And then my grandmother came in and my grandmother came in, and they let me all know that you broke that cycle of marrying someone that was narcissistic. And you have a beautiful marriage, and you don't need to be guarded or have this wall up anymore. This guy loves you unconditionally. He totally supports you 100%. And that was a mindset. That was completely a mindset. And I was so blessed to have that shift in my perspective because, yes, I was guarded in my marriage. I grew up seeing marriage as not something that was beautiful. I never dreamed about, oh, I'm going to get married. Oh, I can't wait for my wedding dress. And like a lot of women do, it was different for me. And so it allowed me to realize that I achieved something that I didn't even know I achieved.
It's so beautiful. So when you're describing such an amazing, impactful moment, would you consider that 4D or 5D?
I would say I was in 40 because I had the courage to listen and I was optimistic and hopeful about it. And it gave me reasoning and understanding. And then it brought me all the way up to 5D, which is unconditional love and joy and bliss and peace and oneness. And that was, to me, just so profound. When we have these moments of 5D human consciousness, you view the world completely different. And when you see someone struggling in pain, you're not laughing at that. You're laughing at their pain. You're not thinking they're crazy or judging them. You're just this presence of peace and compassion because I've walked in their shoes. I have been down those paths. I've had every form of abuse you can think of, and I had it more than once. And to shed that garbage, those thoughts of I'm a victim, or maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I deserved it. All these things we sometimes think, to just let the trash go. Because when we worry about our past, it's literally in our face right now, leading our whole life. And not until we learn those lessons that we need to learn, it's going to keep repeating itself. Recycle, repeat, recycle, repeat. But once you clear it out of your energy field, your chakras, all of that, you no longer attract it. Because we are energetic beings. We're like
Right.
magnets.
And for those who are like, okay, awesome. How do I know if I've cleared out the lesson, say, for instance, the last 2 years? Because it's so much going on energetically right now as we go into this second eclipse. And that's what this whole time period is about, is the
Yes.
last 2 years and releasing and clearing. So how does someone know if they have essentially, finally, have broken the pattern of what has been going on?
When you see a person that wounded you, whether it was deeply or just superficially, you thought in your mind, or you had the misconception where you get triggered, where you're guarded around that person. And when you know you're completely clear, you can see that person's name and it doesn't trigger you. It doesn't bother you. So I'll give a really good example. When voting came along in our area, there was a woman that I thought I was clear with, that I cleared all the trauma and stuff with her, but I didn't, because I actually got a flyer in the mail that she was wanting to be a judge at the courthouse. And she wanted to protect children's and family. She wanted to be a judge. And I immediately got triggered. I was like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. This woman does not know about autism, PDA. She's not trauma informed. She does not know the trauma signs or any of that. And all my bells and whistles were going off. And so what I did was I went inside and I forgave her. I forgave every situation, every moment that she was mean and vile and nasty to me. If you read the book, The Undetected Narcissist, you'll learn all about this woman. She was a parent coordinator and she turned into a flying monkey, where my son's father, who was a covert narcissist, was able to just gaslit her so perfectly that she became a minion of his. And so I had to forgive all of that, all of it, forgive myself, forgive the situations, forgive the courthouse, forgive the every scenario. And it was so profound when I was forgiving all of it. And then I handed it over to our creator, to God. I literally heard this sound in my ear. It was like whoosh. And I felt this ball, huge ball of energy being pulled out of me. And the next day, I looked at that flyer and it didn't bother me. It didn't trigger me. And that night, I did pray and I was like, God, you know my heart. You know how I feel. And you know what I experienced and my son experienced. And I'm only asking for the highest and the best because I'm here to serve you and I'm here to serve humanity. And she's here to serve also. She's a great teacher, but she was a teacher of no, 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 no. She was that kind of teacher. I'm going to let go what I think should be right and let you decide. And
So
I will say, yes, she did not get picked as being the judge. And yes, I did. I was very joyful and happy that she wasn't. But that was a real profound experience for me, was when we have something come up that we get triggered, that's your opportunity to go within and explore. Be curious. Ask questions. Why is this triggering me? I did a podcast about why do I take everything personally? And I'm a gamer nerd. You wouldn't believe it, but yes, I'm a huge gamer nerd. And something happened to me in a game and I took it personal. And when I quieted down and I went within and I explored, I immediately saw my brothers because I grew up with four brothers and no sisters. And I heard, you're not good enough. You're a girl. Girls can't do this. And I was just like you, thank you. I need to let that thought go because that was stuck in me. No,
right,
I'm empowered within. I can do amazing things. I don't need to believe this garbage about myself.
right.
And so I forgave them. I forgave myself for believing those thoughts. I saw my inner child. I held her and I loved her and I showed her my timeline. Look, baby, look what we have done. And I held her and I'm like, we are strong and empowered women. All these parts can come together and we can be whole. And it was so beautiful. And so anyone can do this for themselves. So that's why I say, print out the chart and look at it and see where you're at.
Yeah, that's
And then,
super
yeah,
important to know where you're at, because then it helps you to know where your frequency, which brings me into
yes,
my next question with you, because for those of you that don't know, she is a manifesting guru. And
yeah.
so how do we help? Because so many people, manifesting is a buzzword, but you and I take it to a different level energetically. And how do we help people understand that you can have your heart's desire by raising your vibration and becoming
Yes.
in alignment with that? How do you help your clients with that?
I first help them understand, just like before, where you were stuck and where you want to be. So I did a podcast about a testimonial of a woman that I've known for years that wanted to get pregnant. And she was spending a year and a half doing all the hormone treatment, IVF, everything. And she called me up and she was discouraged. Can I even get pregnant? And I told her, you're coming from a place of force. And this baby is going to be 3D human consciousness. It's not going to come in at those lower dense vibrations. It wants to be created out of love. You've made sex a job and not making love. And so what I had her do is I had her take all that wisdom and take the trash out. And then take her womb and fill it with so much light and love and joy. And to talk to that baby and use the approach of what the Ho'oponopono Ono say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was trying to force this and I realized you want to be created out of love. So please forgive me. Please forgive me. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to connect and talk to you. I used all of that and I love you. I really, really love you. And I can't wait to meet you. And I had her do the 5D human consciousness where imagine you are talking to that baby. There is unconditional love. There's joy. There's bliss, the day of the baby's arrival, all of that. And I let the baby know that you can come in now or anytime you want. But I am so grateful that you've picked me as a mommy. And whenever you're ready to come, you can. Well, in 30 days, and I made a custom recording because you want to get that in your subconscious mind because she spent 580 days, whatever it was, of this mindset. I wanted to rewire her brain. Long story short, in 30 days, she got pregnant. And next month, she's expecting a baby girl.
That is so exciting. And so you did that by helping her. So you did like an MP3 of your voice as to, so she could continue. And is that something that you would say, listen to at night or in the morning? How does that work?
Some people, it depends. For her, I wanted her to listen to it during the day, to really be conscious and to really connect to all those emotions. Because when she is feeling that unconditional love and that joy and that bliss, it's like rockets. You're shooting it out up into the universe, and the universe hears what your request is. And that's the really cool thing about manifesting is all of our manifesting abilities are within 5D human consciousness. You got to get out of the fear. I've done it for me. I wrote that book, Affirming and Focusing on Living a Better Life. And in 10 months, I manifested over 22 things my heart desired. 22 things. Yeah. And some of the stories in there just make a person's jaw drop. They're like, that is amazing. And it was all coming from love. And I did a lot with money too. And for me, I knew money was an issue. So I never focused on the money. I focused on what it would do for me and do for my children.
Oh,
I saw them laughing and playing. All the joy. Yeah.
And that's a big one for people when we wrap around money and understanding that it's really energy. And again, we need to be a matched frequency to pull it in. And I love that you say you focus on what it could do for you. Because I know for me, like I don't go, oh, I want $1 million. I'll be like, I'm so grateful to serve 1 million people this year. And because I'm like, even if 1 million people showed up and they had $1, that's a lot of, and I don't put conditions on how I'm serving, where I'm serving. That could be anything. So I'm fascinated by that because I know so many people struggle with that fear and the matrix aspect of, well, maybe I'm not worthy or I didn't work 65 hours, so I don't deserve it. There's so many things that need to be broken down to understand that, well, it's just energy and you can pull it to you.
Yes.
Like I did something yesterday after our amazing podcast, and we'll let you know the name and everything at the end so you can hop over and listen because it's so fun. The two of us together, we're just amazing. After I had to go pick up a car. She was in the shop. I picked her up all under warranty, no dollars out of my pocket. So I said, okay, you and I had talked about something that I was waiting on signs for. And I said, I'm going to go buy flip-flops as I believe this is what's happening. So I'm honoring this. So I go in and, there's some things going on. So I go in, I buy the flip-flops, I buy one tank top. Then I'm like, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to honor this moment. And I walk up and the woman goes, oh, well, you have X amount of dollars of credits. Would you like to use that? I got all 4 pairs of flip-flops and a tank top for no money. And I look at those little ways and go, thank you, universe. Or if you get a BOGO, a buy one, get one. Thank you, universe. I mean, the universe blessed me with $1,500 and some yesterday that's still floating out there because I didn't have to hand it over. And I think that's the part that people miss. that
Yes.
magic of all of that. Like that's so that was really cool to me. Now somebody else may be like, it's only 4 flip-flops. Oh no, there was so much more to that flip-flop story. But it's so powerful. And you can take it bigger than flip-flops, and you can read Carrie's book and you can see how amazing and big things you can do with it. But just to show you from a flip-flop to Carrie's story and everywhere in between, you can do it.
You can. I think the one that I take the most when you think about dollars, the most pride in, and it's a healthy pride, is I think it was back in 2012 or 2013. There was a woman that I met that created this invention that when it was an energy invention that would actually help rewire the brain and all kinds of stuff. It was really cool. And she wanted to find an investor. And she was really, really struggling. I forget how she heard about me or found me, but I coached her so good that even when she was so fearful that it's not going to happen and had just a few dollars in her wallet, she manifested that investor that in 18 months gave her $9.8 million. I've seen her on the Gaia channel. She has worked with royalty. She's been in all these magazines. She's done amazing things, has opened different centers across the globe. So proud of this woman. She was like, "Oh my God, how is this possible?" And I said, because every time you doubted yourself, I wanted you to stop and listen to your recording. And I wanted you to stop and see that man shaking your hand and signing that contract. And you're so blessed and so happy, and him handing you over the check. You don't have to see the dollar amount on the check, but you're getting that. And you're all so joyful because this thing you created is helping the world, is
Mm-hmm.
helping children's, is helping families. That is a gift you're giving. So stay focused on what you're being of service, and instead of stuck in fear or instead of stuck in doubt. Just because you got $10 in your wallet and you can't afford this and that, it doesn't matter.
Right.
That is just temporary. And every time you stop and you doubt yourself, you're hitting the pause button on that manifesting. Every time you start to go down that rabbit hole of, oh, this is stupid. Is this even going to work? Is this even possible? You're rewinding.
Mhm.
No, you have to stay in your place of power. I did put this in my book, and this was funny. I coached one guy that wanted 30 new clients in 30 days, and he only had 28. And he was mad. He was disappointed. And I'm like, dude, last month you had only 5. Come on. You should be celebrating. You got 28. Okay, you're short too, but come on. Give yourself a break. You got to change your mindset. That was a blessing. If you win the lottery and you just won $2, go thank you. Thank
Right.
you, universe. I won $2. Yeah, I didn't win $2 million, but I won $2. And eventually there'll be more and there'll be more, and it will happen. It might not happen today or the next week or tomorrow, but when it does happen, I'm going to celebrate.
And I think that's key. We get lost in this world. We forget to celebrate the little things
Yes.
along the way. And you're only so focused on this big thing when it's but all this little stuff. And when you celebrate and you're happy and you're joyful, you're dabbling in that 5D frequency, which raises your frequency, which then attracts
Yes.
more of this to
Yes.
you.
Yes.
I love that. So, with this, because this is so powerful, the work that you do, explain the difference because you offer coaching and you also offer channeled messaging. So, what is
Yes.
the difference within your practice with both of those?
A lot of times I try not to advertise it because some people can just be like, this is just too weird. I'd rather you experience it so then you know the profound difference. And it all depends on the individual, because I sometimes will hear things, I will see things, I will get messages, I will have, like yesterday, I was like, oh my God, that's my grandfather talking to you. You're channeling my grandfather. They just come, it comes in, and I don't know who it is or what, but I'm this vessel of this safe space. And what's really cool about it is, I'll give you an example of a gentleman that came to me for anxiety. He was just literally bouncing off the walls here and there. I felt his energy before he even showed up. It was driving me nuts. And when he sat in the chair, I started to get messages and see his mom. And I was like, your mom, oh my God, she had the same exact anxiety as you, didn't she? I see her like a mouse or a hamster scrambling here and there and just always this. "Ah!" He was like, yes. Oh, it was horrible growing up in that environment. And I said, okay, now I'm seeing your grandmother. What about your grandmother? Yes, the same exact thing. And it was like, that's generational trauma that is being passed down from generation to generation. And you picked it up. You picked up the habit. You picked up those behaviors and those traits. So we need to clear it. And when I cleared it and I saw him 30 days later, it was a completely different man. I was floored. He was, he went literally from 100 to 310, and he was grounded, balanced. He said, I can think more clearly. I now can set healthy boundaries. I no longer am afraid. And he was so needy. His attachment style was an anxious attachment style, and he was extremely insecure and needy. And he found himself. He was so now clear-minded and grounded. I was just like, kudos to you. And his relationships changed and how he would communicate with other people and how he was able to step back and observe people instead of being reactive. It was like so fascinating and completely cool. And so we can give these gifts to people. And I look at it as if he just came in with complete anxiety, I wouldn't have got that intuitive hit about his mom, about his grandmother. I wouldn't have got any of that. And I did work on the inner child healing with him. And I did future pacing, where it's like NLP. Once you put those parts together, or IFS, internal family systems, when you put all those parts together, you want to show them what the future can be, what is possible. And you create that wiring in your brain, because what I've learned in doing parts therapy is some parts can sit back on the fence and be like, I don't know if I'm going to take you serious. I need to listen to this 10 more times. I had one guy have to listen to it 20 times. And when he finally got to that point, I get it. Now I hear everything that you were saying. But he went so deep that his subconscious mind was clearing all that garbage. And then when it was like, okay, trash is taken out, you can hear now everything she says, he was like, it was amazing.
That's so cool. That's so powerful. And it goes to say why for 14 consecutive plus years, you have been voted the top hypnotherapist in your area. Your work is so deep.
Yeah.
We need a different word for you. Really, we do. Because there's so much that you do. You're so impactful. You're so empowering to the people that you're helping. And this is so much of what is needed right now, because there are so many people that are on their spiritual awakening, that are wanting to heal, that are wanting to move forward in life, whether they know what to call it or not. You are this most amazing person who, you're not so far woo-woo one way, you're not so far black and white the other way, that you're such a beautiful open door gateway to help people from the 3D to the 4D to the 5D, and then find that baseline in the 4D wherever they need to settle at this moment. I think that's so, gosh, I'm just so happy that between yesterday's podcast and today's podcast, we can so highlight everything that you do.
Thank you. I tell people, when you start off, you want to master baseline. And what I call baseline is 200 and 250. I want you every day to have the courage to view whatever your situation is as temporary. Okay, just temporary. I want you to make peace with it. I really want you to do. And I want you to know that it's not forever. And I want you to be open to learning new things and to be flexible, determined, focused. I want you to seek solutions and seek connections with the right people. That's when you're goal oriented. And then 250 is where you can be satisfied with life. And this is where a lot of us take things for granted. Be satisfied you have food on the table, you have clean water, you have shoes on your feet, that you have a car or a bicycle or roller skates or whatever it is as a form of transportation. You have feet you can walk on, form of transportation. Be blessed. You've got a roof over your head. If you get a paycheck every 2 weeks, that's a blessing. That's consistent money flowing into you. Stop looking at it from a mindset of lack. Look at it as, I'm grateful for this. And I remember coaching a woman that was so mad about her credit cards, just was angry at, I have to pay these off. And I said, but look, one credit card got you a brand new washing machine. You needed that. This other credit card got you this.
Right.
That's a gift. They trusted you by approving your credit to give you that card. They didn't have to do that. That's a gift. And then what you do is every time you pay that bill, bless it, thank it, pay the ones off that have the highest interest rate. And she was like, I never thought of it that way.
It's so true. It's so true. And I love that you went into that example because I feel like there's so many people in that situation right now, and this can help shift some serious mindsets right now around the world for sure, especially again around money and the frequency and all of that, and understanding that, there is a lesson and a blessing in everything. It's up to us to pause and to be willing to go there to see it and to feel it.
Right. Well, and it's really, sometimes I tell people, just check in with yourself periodically through the day and see where your set point is. If you got angry and disappointed at your boss, what was it? What triggered you? And go within and see, oh, the way that person spoke to me reminded me of an old teacher. Or, oh, that person, the way they treated me reminded me of this situation or that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're an adult now. You can look at it and you can say, okay, I forgive that person. I forgive that situation. And I'm doing this forgiveness for me, not for them. I'm doing this for me. So then I can be around my boss. And when he acts immaturely or talks to me in a disrespectful way, I won't take it personal because he's just a jerk. And that's okay. And that's the hard part is, yes, we can accept a person and still really even love that person, but you don't have to like them. And what you don't like is their personality sometimes, their behaviors, their actions. That's all them. It's nothing to do with you. Nothing.
Oh my gosh, we could talk for days.
No.
I just adore you. I love your energies. I feel, and we spoke of this before, we have been so divinely guided together.
Yes.
I think that it is so powerful. I'm so just excited and honored that you came on the podcast. So please share with our amazing community, where can they best reach you so that they can find out more about your coaching, about your channeling, your books, all the goodies.
My first business I started was Empowered Within. You can find me there. You can find me on Master the Upper Rooms. That's all about the human consciousness. My name is spelled differently. It's Kerie, last name Logan. So if you even just Googled me, you'd find tons of stuff.
Well, Carrie, as we close out the show today, is there one last piece of inspiration or perhaps a channeled message that you'd like to leave with us today?
I want everyone to realize that we chose to come here at this specific time in this great moment of chaos, because great chaos will create great change. And yes, there will be some structures that collapse or need to be reborn and all of that. And that's okay. Have the mindset that you're here for a reason. And just because things around us are super scary and unstable, realize that you're here for a reason. And you chose to come in at this specific time to be a teacher and a student and to raise your consciousness so we can all have a world full of peace, harmony, cooperation, community, oneness. We're here as little lighthouses to just shine our light into the world. And even if you can't see your light, it's still there. You just got to find it.
That's right. Beautiful message. Thank you so much for that. And as always, all of Kerrie's information will be over at jenniferpilates.com in the show notes so that you can find her, work with her. Well, again, jenniferpilates.com, head over there and find all of Kerrie's contact information. And as we say, until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Empowered Within with Jennifer Pilates. Your feedback is important. It helps me to connect with you and gives me insight into who you are and what you're enjoying about the show. For today's show notes and discount codes from today's sponsors, head over to jenniferpilates.com. Until next time, may you live an empowered life from within. What if your wellness practice could feel like a sacred return instead of another thing on your to-do list? Welcome to the Jennifer Pilates Wellness Studio, your on-demand sanctuary for realignment, healing, and empowerment. Inside, you'll find a unique fusion of Pilates-based movement, Reiki-infused meditations, and mindful body practices designed to support the woman over 40 living with more energy, ease, and alignment. This isn't just fitness. This is full body, whole being recalibration. Whether you've been feeling out of sync, burned out, or just craving a space that gets you, this is for you. With flexible monthly and annual memberships, you can begin wherever you are and grow from within. Start today at jenniferpilates.com. You don't need to do it all. You just need a place to come home to yourself. This is that place.